you guys? Hi, I'm here with Mohamed Ibrahim. He's an Egyptologist and he has this company called, is it Guides of Egypt or Tours of Egypt?
Look, my own logo is Guide of Egypt, but my company is Beauty Egypt Tours.
Okay, and that's who I went with to Egypt a year and a half ago,
Mhm.
and he's amazing. If you ever go to Egypt, this is the person you have to go with. He's Egyptian. He actually knows hieroglyphs, but he also is really into the megalithic culture, and he's just completely awesome. So, with that being said, okay, so Mohammed, how does your stance differ from like a traditional Egyptologist?
That is a long story. Look, I was graduated. I studied at the university for 4 years. I studied a typical academic style, which I must say I don't disagree much with the academic stories. I only disagree when it comes about the technology and when it comes about dating some certain buildings or structures in ancient Egypt. But if we talk about the history of the ancient Egyptians, it happened. Like, uh, if someone will ask me, did we have a king called Khufu? Yes, definitely. We had a king called Khufu. We have a king called Senefru, Tutankhamun, Ramses II, and all of these kings and queens. So that history happened. But the problem will come when we talk about their achievements. Did they truly build these sites? And if we see a site is completely different from the other style, the style of the other site, and we still claim that the same person, the same crew, the same engineer built both of them, that is the question which made me, when I was in the pre-last year at the university, started to think about the possibility that what we study is not completely perfect. And guess what? My first question was about the pinned pyramid in Dahshur. I was there with my colleagues, and we listened to the professor talking about the mistake that the engineers made a huge mistake planning and designing this pyramid. And they have to bend the angle after 92 meters or 105. I'm not sure because I'm quite tired today. And they bent the angle. Instead of 54 degrees, it became 43 degrees. And they, as if like they finished the pyramid just to avoid like heavy work or to avoid dismantling the pyramid. And after they finished that pyramid, they moved all their objects and machines and workers to build another pyramid just 3 or 4 kilometers to the north. And that is what we call it, the Red Pyramid, which they call it the first true pyramid. I don't know what does it mean true, because each pyramid has its own design, its own style. Okay, so we cannot claim that we have one system or one style for pyramids. So that moment was the exact moment when I said to myself, what? Wait a minute. If you consider this as a mistake, so everything is happening after this mistake is considered a non-logic, against logic and against sense. Because if you try to do something and you find that it's not going to be useful or functioning, you will not finish it. You will not continue adding to the work and finish every step. And because we are not talking about a small structure, we are talking about a huge pyramid, will require hundreds of thousands of blocks weighing tons and tons and hundreds and millions of tons. It will require labors and food and shelters and doctors, okay, and beverages, supplies. So what do you mean by they finished the mistake? So from that point, I started to question everything.
Well, and also I always thought when we went to the bent pyramid, that was the first pyramid you took us to. Even if you're at the exact angle and you're looking up, it looks perfect. Like it's very,
Yes.
I mean, it's And what I also really liked about the bent pyramid that I hadn't heard before was the whole mica schist and how like they're found everywhere. And then that you said that it's possible that, or there used to be way more of the mica schist just laying all over the field that used to be encased in it.
Yes, that was look, for many years I found thousands of small pieces until I met a geophysicist, Nassim Haramein. And this is the beauty of my job. So my beginning in this field was because of the Pint Pyramid and started to question all the stories. And my second chance when I started to meet famous people, not famous because they are like celebrities, not famous because of their education, because of their experiences. Okay, like Robert Schoch, like Christopher Dunn, like Nassim, like Robert Grant, like, and so many of these people. Each one is specialized in his own field, but they all come to me. We do tours together. So I learned about the engineering of the Egyptian structures and pyramids from Chris, learned about the geology from Dr. Shosh, learned about the physical abilities from Nassim, learned about the angles and mathematics from Robert Grant. So I managed to collect huge data, learned about microwaves from Russian scientists who came in one of my tours in 2017, and we will come to this in our talk, that some of our structures produce microwaves, okay? So that is what happened, and that is what made me change from typical academic who believes in all the stories in the books, who believe that everything is symbolic, everything was designed for the afterlife, everything was designed for the purpose of the tomb and the funeral of the king. I changed it from that concept. Okay, and I'm looking now to everything according to what we can read from the site, not from the book. Okay, because the site will not lie, will never lie. The angles, the corners, the stones, the blocks will not lie to you. But who will lie to you is the explanation. And that's why many of my colleagues and many of my friends in Egyptology, when they tell me a story, my first question is going to be, who said that? Is it your understanding, or the ancient Egyptian left a text for us saying this? So what I found that all of what we hear, or let's say most of what we hear, is our understanding, based on our beliefs, based on our knowledge, based on our guessing. But there is no clear text saying that. So what is the clear text? Is the site itself. Go to the site, look to the site, start to collect information, and then you will come with a very good story. Maybe not complete, maybe the story will not cover all the angles, all the sides, but at least you will have a story without any gaps or without any mistakes. So that is my style in this field.
So what do you, in your current understanding now, based on all this, what do you think is the oldest structure? Do you think it's the Sphinx?
That is a hard question. I cannot answer this question because there are so many structures can be related to the same ancient civilization. Okay, so I can answer your question, but in a different way. I can say that what we call it ancient Egypt is not just one phase of ancient Egypt. There was earlier ancient Egypt, maybe 1, 2, 3, 10 earlier ancient Egypt, and each one ends with a disaster or with kind of a global or maybe universal phenomenon like the solar flare, like the cataclysm, like something else. And then another ancient Egypt will rise and end, and another ancient Egypt. So what we know, or what is called ancient Egypt, that is the last level of ancient Egypt, or the last phase of ancient Egypt. So I can tell you that many of the sites, including the pyramid, including the Sphinx, but I can put the pyramid in a higher position more than the Sphinx. Okay, so the pyramid, Karnak Temple. But when I say Karnak Temple, I mean the granite structure. Because if you remember in our tour, I started to explain that that temple is not the actual temple.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a temple completely built from granite, and there are some corners and some pillars left from that granite structure. And later, the dynasties, they started to add the new sections from limestone and sandstone to match the old building. Another building in Tanis, northeast Egypt, and so many of these structures which require advanced technology. So my guessing that they are very old, and if I will be very prospective, very conservative, I will say before 10,500 BC. That is the conservative way. But if I will be myself, I will tell you 600,000 BC.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, no,
Okay.
I mean, I'm starting to get more and more on the line of like, yeah, we are definitely older than we think, and we're having.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Someone will say, come on, Mohammed, how come you say this date? Look, we found skeletons date back to 13 BC, 13,000 BC, 25,000 BC, 35,000 BC, 50 or 55,000 BC. Okay, and we have those skeletons in Egypt now. Okay, we have, and I can give you some names. It's an Arabic name, but it still can be found on Google. We have the child of Taramsa village. That is 35,000 BC. Sorry, that is the 55,000. We have Nazlet Khatir skeleton or man. That is 25,000 BC. Okay. And we have another evidence is the geological erosions and the evidences of different atmosphere or some kind of disasters occurred in 10,500 BC. So we found erosions on the Sphinx and on the pyramid happened or must happen at 9,700 BC or close to this time. So it means that the Sphinx and the pyramid were already built before this date. Or how come they are get affected with the running water and the erosions at 9,700 BC? Okay, but my own story, if I can add to this story, and that will be released very soon in my first book, that the Great Pyramid.
What's it called? What's your first book called? What are you gonna call
it? It's a secret somehow because the name is close to another famous book, so I'm trying to get the permission from the author. Okay, but it will be something like the Egypt before the written history, something like this.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Well, I'm excited. I really want to read that.
I'll tell you what, I'm writing this book for 2 years now. Okay, it took me so long. Why? Because every chapter I write, it took me like a month or two reading my chapter and enjoyed reading this chapter. So every time, as if it's a book for someone else. Okay.
Well, hey, that's good. That's, you know, it's good if it entertains you.
Yeah. So I found that the deeper layers or inner layers of the Great Pyramid are affected with the same thing. So it doesn't make sense. It must be the external layers. Okay. So if the inner layers are affected, it means that the pyramid was already destroyed during that cataclysm. So it seemed that an earlier disaster affected the pyramid and stopped the pyramid or destroyed the casing stone of the pyramid, lost the casing stone because of an earlier disaster, not because of that flood. So it didn't happen. We're not talking about 9,700 BC anymore. No, we are talking about before 9,700 BC, when the pyramid lost the casing stone. And when 9,700 BC happened, and the cataclysm happened, it affected the second or the third layer of the blocks of the Great Pyramid. Okay, so many evidence, and this is what I'm saying. Like, we need to go to the site, to watch the site carefully, to look up and in the middle, and also look down. I believe I show you and the group so many things on the ground, on the feet level, and most of the people don't see it because they always look up. They want to see the top of the pyramid or the higher levels, but there are so much secrets under their feet.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I never even really knew about that basalt foundation that's right next to the Great Pyramid. That was like from something else, but yeah, just I actually just watched this program about how there was like some satellite imaging that they took of the Great Pyramid, and there it looks like there might even be another chamber that we didn't even know about above the King Chamber. Have you heard anything about that?
Yes, and look, let's talk from the latest to the beginning. The latest is a scientific research happened by a Japanese research center, and they were using a kind of waves called or rays called Moyan or Moyan. I don't know how to pronounce that word exactly.
Yeah.
What those or this kind of rays, or let's say photons, is the only chance to create an inner picture to the pyramid. Because anytime you start using X-rays, it doesn't work. X-rays, when it goes forward, hit a solid body and comes back to create the picture. The pyramid absorbs all the rays. Okay, so when you use another type like ultrasound, also doesn't work. So many techniques they used on the pyramid, but all are failed operations or techniques. So the only thing, if that kind of rays comes from the space, actually, it is not produced by any machine. It is not man-made. It is natural muons, I think that is the word. Okay. So what they did, they prepared certain plates to receive these muons. Okay. And because when the muons, I hope I say it right, when it goes through the design, if it goes through stones or the blocks, it creates like how do you call it? Fade picture. But if it crosses through space, it creates clear picture, or like busy dots, many dots. Okay, so you got my point?
Yeah.
Like, let's say there are 1 million muons. Okay, will go through all the way, will be stones. We will get 100,000 only. But if the same number will go across a big room or a tunnel or something, we will get like 800,000. Okay, so eventually we will have a picture and we will show that there is a part is hollow. Okay, so they found a huge space on top of the Grand Gallery. That huge space is equivalent to the size of an airplane, jumbo airplane.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so that is above the Grand Gallery.
So can they tell anything else? Can they tell like if there's structures in it, or can they just tell like the shape, the general shape of it, or just more like that there is some kind of room?
Yes, that is what they said. They didn't add anything else. But from a design or a style point of view, like, and I believe you realize this, like when we went to the temples, you always see a statue on the right side and a statue on the left side. Obelisk on the right side, obelisk on the left side. Pillars on the right, pillars on the left. Right? Remember that?
Very symmetrical.
Exactly. They have what we call it mirroring style. So if you look carefully to the plan of the Great Pyramid, you will find that all what we see from the entrance and the 3 rooms are located in one half of the pyramid. They don't cross to the other half. All of them located exactly in one half. So if we follow the same system, that it must be a reflection for these designs in the other side of the pyramid. So we must have a tunnel, grand gallery. We must have a room, so-called the queens, and for the king, and one underneath. So we must have the other, or the twin design of the first half existed in the second half. So I think what they found is something proving what we are talking about.
Okay, so that's huge and awesome.
And I can add to this, if you go to the southern part of the pyramid, of the Great Pyramid, you will find the big hole on matches the same location of the original entrance. Okay, so who made that hole was aware with what I'm saying. He knew that it must be similar design in that side, so he was digging a hole in the same exact spot of the original entrance from the north. But it seemed that he spent a long time just to cut 2 or 3 blocks. He lost hope and he left the project.
So what about how much excavation has happened under the Great Pyramid?
Repeat the question. I didn't hear you.
Like how much excavation or exploration have they done, like around the bedrock or underneath? Like, is there any tunnel systems or anything underneath the Great Pyramid, or underneath like in the Giza Plateau?
They done zero. There is no any work or excavations or digging or anything under the pyramid, or even nearby the pyramid, or in Giza Plateau in general, because they believe they know everything, and what they know, that there is nothing there. So that's why they are confident they will not dig or do anything. Although that there are hundreds of tunnels, hundreds of shafts. There are a kind of a huge underground system in Giza Plateau. I'm not talking about the pyramid itself. I'm talking in general about in Giza Plateau, like the Osiris shaft in Giza. It is 65 meters below the bedrock, and it consists of 3 shafts and 2 rooms in the middle. So we have, and that is not the only case, right? Maybe this is a huge case, but we have hundreds of similar examples in Giza Plateau. So when we talk about underground system, we are not joking, we are not imagining. That is a fact.
Well, okay. Even in Saqqara, right? Like on the step pyramid, there's a huge underground.
Exactly. Look, Saqqara will be double or triple in this case. Saqqara has, if the pyramid have tens or hundreds of examples, Saqqara will have thousands of tunnels underneath. And the Serapeum is one of these tunnels, by the way. The Serapeum, which is totally under the ground for almost 1,000 meters, 1 kilometer. So who can dig the Serapeum can dig a huge or a longer tunnel than the Serapeum, because it will be the same technology, the same way, so they can continue. So Saqqara is full of underground tunnels, and yes, under the step pyramid itself, there is a huge network of tunnels, and it goes deep till 50 meters under the ground.
How much of that have you been in?
Many.
Well, yeah, that's cool. Okay, so so tell us a little bit about like you had like a really interesting theory about the Ark of the Covenant and about like Akhenaten and your version of Egyptian Moses, and also about, you know, kind of what like Elephantine Island and how like that at one point held the whatever the Ark of the Covenant was and what you think it is, because I thought that was always super fascinating. The Mohammed story of that, I was like, woo!
Yes. Look, to be honest and clear, this story is my own story based on my readings and based on my if I can call it evidences, and my way try to connect the puzzle pieces together. We all can understand. If we read the Bible, if we read even the Quran, the Islamic book, we will find or we will read about the story of the Pharaoh and Moses in a very clear way. But according to antiquities, according to the history, written history, there is no mention at all to this story. There is no mention to the Pharaoh or no mention to Moses or the Hebrews in any level or in any place, okay? So what happened? Like, what was the case? Like the Bible and the Quran are deceiving us? No, when you read some stories, if you read it from as I told you, the academic style, or according to what was written 200 or 300 years ago, you will read it like a regular story. So when it says that tribe from northeast of Egypt came to Egypt and they spent a while and then left Egypt. What kind of tribe? That is a general term. Now, I need you to be specific. When you find that we had a group of invaders called Hyksos, and those invaders, this is the problem, that word invaders. In any history book, they call them invaders. So immediately we think about war, or many battles happened between those invaders and the Egyptian army, and they defeated the Egyptian army and they conquered Egypt. Okay, because the opposite happened. King Ahmose later, after 200 or 300 years, he managed to lead battles against them and defeated them, and he forced them to leave Egypt, and he followed them in their homeland. Okay, but let's come to the first part. Did the Hyksos invaded Egypt? If yes, where are the records of the battles? Zero records. If no, so what happened? How they invaded Egypt? Now we can compare our modern situation with the ancient situation. Egypt is considered at the center of Middle East. Yeah, maybe it is not the center, but politically it is the center, and the Egyptian people welcome anybody. So if there is a problem in Sudan, in Palestine, the refugees will come to Egypt. Most of the Syrians came to Egypt. Iraqi people came to Egypt. Something in Kuwait, in Saudi. So Egypt, modern Egypt, is a copy from ancient Egypt. So my belief that there was a big problem in Middle East during the so-called Hyksos time, maybe famine, maybe some political problems. So many of the Middle Eastern immigrants came to Egypt, settled in Egypt, worked in Egypt. And like any country, we have time of high civilization and times of collapse and weakness. So it happened that they came during the time of weakness, or the end of the good days and the beginning of bad days. And they started to be appointed and lead some certain or important offices in Egypt. Like one of them became the police leader, maybe one became the army leader. Suddenly they found themselves can control the country. So this is what they did. They started to call each other in different provinces, different cities, different towns, and they said, the king is weak, the government is weak, so let's control this. And they ruled Egypt for, as I said, like 200-300 years, until the house of Luxor, like the mayors of Luxor, managed to defeat them by under the leadership of Ahmose. And I have here a very interesting opinion that the story of Moses happened during the Hyksos, or the end of the Hyksos time, because the word Pharaoh, that is not the title of the king, that was his name. Okay. Or in some other cases, I explained that that was his own title. Okay, like as I said, my own logo or title is Guide of Egypt. Okay, so his own title was Pharaoh. So my guessing that Moses made an agreement with Ahmos that he is going to leave in this day, and because he is leaving with all the Hebrews, okay, or the Israelites, and they are part of the Hyksos nation, like quarter maybe, or 1/3. And that's why the king didn't want them to leave, because he will be affected, the economy, the army, and the force of or the labors, the working hands will be affected. So he told Ahmos, I'm going to leave in this day under one condition. After you defeat the Hyksos king, you will give me like you will secure me. You will not attack my homeland or attack my how do you call it, the town in Jerusalem. Agreement. Okay. So that is what happened. So one of the signs God told Moses to no, not that. While they were leaving Egypt, okay, they took one of the Egyptian devices with them. That device is what we call it the Ark of the Covenant. And most of the stories say that the Ark of the Covenant used to contain or still contain the tablets when Moses wrote the 10 Commandments, and the magical stick of Moses, the wooden stick, that one turned it to a snake, and maybe something else related to Moses and Harun, okay? Which I see it also some elements, because what is the material of the tablets? Stones. And stones from where? From Sinai, the land of turquoise. Sinai was also considered as holy ground to the Egyptians. And when we say holy, it doesn't mean holy, it means energetic, because everything was twisted. So the word energy became the word holy. Okay. So they took the device, okay, and it seemed that something wrong happened to the device. But before this, the Persian Babylonian king heard about the Ark of the Covenant, and he led his army to Jerusalem, attacked the Israelites, and took the covenant from them. Okay, so that expedition was designed specially for this reason. And then they say, or the stories say that the ark was returned to the Israelites in a kind of a miracle. Okay, so they understood that the best way to hide the ark is its own place. And where is its own place is Egypt. And if this ark is made out of granite, so it must be Aswan, rose granite from Aswan.
Mhm.
And as I say, the engine or the heart of Egypt is Elephantine Island. Huge island from granite, and the energy there is the maximum level. But I know most of the visitors, when they go there, they feel nothing. So how come the maximum level of energy, but you feel nothing? Because this island is covered totally with mud bricks. Mud is great insulation material. So if you want to hide the effect of energy, you add mud, especially the Egyptian mud, which contains so many minerals. So it is playing like an isolation layer. So that's why if you remove the mud just 1 meter, you're going to immediately feel the energy like a very strong volcano. But we don't feel it because we have, and those layers of mud were added in all the ages of history, from modern, and then Coptic, Islamic, and backwards Greco-Roman, New Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, and Old Kingdom. Okay, so every age or every era of ancient Egypt, they add a structure or two or many from mud bricks to hide the energy of the island. So the Ark of the Covenant was there and maybe still there. Okay, because the second part of the story, according to Graham Hancock, he said that the ark was taken to Ethiopia in, I forgot the name of the city, in a church there, and it is being watched by two blind guards.
I heard that that got looted. That church got looted within the last. I need to double check that and see if that's true. But one of my friends was like, "Did you know that that church in Ethiopia that's supposed to have the Ark of the Covenant got, yeah, it got like robbed and looted like within the last month or something?" And I was like, "Really? I had not heard that, so I need to look into that and see if that's true." But yeah.
Yes. Okay. I don't believe it. Look, if you know about it, so it means that it's not true. There is, because this is could be fake news to mislead the people who are looking for the Ark of the Covenant. But here is something interesting. If the Ark of the Covenant is so powerful, as I say, that is my way how to know where it is. So with our modern technology, we can find the Ark of the Covenant, right? But under one condition, we won't find the Ark of the Covenant. It is located in another powerful site. So the energy will hide each other.
Ooh, maybe it's in the Great Pyramid in the other chamber that's hidden.
That will be difficult, okay? Because if it is rose granite, it needs to be in an environment of rose granite.
Okay, so you think it's still on Elephantine Island?
Yes, hidden and under the ground somewhere. Okay.
But what do you think it is?
It is, you know, when we call the granite box, they call it sarcophagus. Okay, which I don't agree. I call it the catalyst. When you have the catalyst with our modern catalysts for, it has like microwaves, it has some kind of heat. So you put something inside, like an oven. Okay, but it's not an oven. It's a place or a device to recharge the energy of the battery.
Okay, yeah. So it has something to do with energy.
Yes. Okay. It is the recharger of the charger of the batteries.
Okay.
Okay. And that also, that story matches another story. They call it bringing the Pharaoh. The translation is not easy. Bringing the Pharaoh angry Sekhmet or Tefnut. Okay, but here I prefer to use Tefnut. They say that Tefnut was angry with the Council of Gods, and she decided to leave them. The Council of Gods was at the pyramid area. Okay, so she head south to Elephantine Island, and then from Elephantine Island she head further south to Ethiopia. Okay, so Gadra felt sad why his daughter left him, so he sent Tos and or Jehuti and Bes, and they brought Tefnut from Ethiopia to Elephantine Island. And I believe I showed the group. Most of my clients, I take them to that small room in Isis Temple, where we see the man with the drums and the music. Okay, that was the way to bring her to Aswan. That story matches what? Matches what we call it the line. What is the name of the magnetic equator? It's supposed to be at the pyramid line, okay, and then Elephantine Island, the second line, and then Ethiopia, the third line, and it keeps shifting. Okay, so Elephantine Island is the middle. When it goes to north to the pyramid line, so as if the two poles of Earth are changing, and that leads to disasters, okay, or end of cycles, beginning of new cycles.
So and how long do you think these cycles are? Like 12,000 years, or do you think they happen every?
Exactly 12,000 years. That is 24,000 years. Every 24,000 years.
Kali Yuga. Okay.
Yes, because 12,000 years. Each cycle is divided to how do you call it? 12,000 years. Okay.
Right.
Each cycle 24,000 years. but we have 12,000 years with high consciousness, with let's say all the human virtues and good things, and let's call it also technology, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have high technology, but they are developed mentally and spiritually. And the second 12,000 years, the opposite. They lose their spirituality, they lose their wisdom, consciousness, and maybe they have technology also, doesn't matter, okay? Because you can visit someone in the countryside, he will be very educated, very civilized, but maybe they don't have a satellite, they don't have cell phones, okay? So it doesn't mean that they are primitive.
Yeah.
And the opposite, you can find someone at the city with all the technology, but they are primitive in their brains and in their hearts.
So do you
Okay.
think we're at high, like a high right now and gonna go to a low, or do you
No.
think we're still at a low, gonna go to a high?
Okay, according to the Mayan calendar, 2012, that was the end of the
12,000 years.
the second 12,000 years. So we finished. Yes, so we are rising again.
Okay.
Okay, we are heading up to a new cycle. Actually, we didn't finish the weakness 12,000 years. No, we already finished the whole cycle of Amun, cycle of darkness. So we are in the beginning of the cycle of light called Kibr or Khibr, and the beginning of the 12,000 years of development and high consciousness. That's why you will feel, or you will see that before the coronavirus, there was like problems everywhere. In Middle East, in Europe, in America, so many people are fighting. That is not because of violence. They started to have high consciousness. They started to understand that there are many problems. There is something we need to fix. So let's arise. And COVID-19 came, in my opinion, it's a way to fight the beginning of the cycle. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like I
To
definitely
be,
think it switches people on some way or the other.
that is well, yeah, exactly. Because no one can fight the rules of nature. No one can hide or stop the system of nature. Nature is always overcome any situation or will win at the end.
Okay, so one of the things that this is not nature, this is more like, okay, one of the things that I thought was really interesting is how many temples you took us to that actually had the hieroglyphics written on the wall that a direct translation would mean like star gate. So how did you interpret that? And like what, like, I don't know, I just thought that was kind of cool.
Okay, look, the hieroglyphic language is one of the magical languages. I love this. Of course, the word hieroglyphic, it doesn't mean the language itself. It is ancient Egyptian language. And hieroglyphic, it's a way to write the language. So hieroglyphic, it's what we call it complete picture. Okay, I will give you very clear example. My ID, okay, if you have my ID or passport in your hand now, you will easily identify me because of two things. This is my name written, Mohamed Ibrahim, and that is my picture, right? If for any reason something wrong happened to the name, you still can identify me through the picture. Or the opposite, if the picture was deleted or something wrong happened, so you still find my name. So that is hieroglyphic. It is the name and the picture together. The ancient Egyptian language or the hieroglyphic font is written this way. We have symbols, let's say one word. It will be like 3, 4, 5 symbols. 3 or 4 of them will be the letters, the actual letters, how we pronounce this word. Okay, and the last symbol, maybe not just one, maybe 2. The last 2 or the last one is a picture confirming the meaning. Okay, I will give you an example. We have a word called bish. Okay, B ish or BCH. Bish means to stretch out, to open for wings. Okay, like a duck or a goose stretching out. So they made the letter P and the letter ish. There is ish in ancient Egyptian. Okay, like rectangular, and they made another symbol, two wings opened like this. So if I hide the word, the P and ish, I still understand because they give me the picture. We have another word called khir or ker. Okay, also two letters and a picture. Then khir means falling. Okay, someone is falling from a higher level. They show someone upside down. Okay, not completely, with an angle, as if they are showing us the picture of a fallen person. Okay, the picture for face, her, they write H, R, and the face. The picture of Sijim, here, okay, S, dish, M, Sijim, and an ear. So you got my point?
Okay, yeah. So it's
So,
telling you how it sounds and like a visual.
Exactly.
Okay.
So when you go to a temple and use in on the side of a door, okay, a door leading to a room or leading to a space inside, it is not written. The word that I'm going to talk about, it's not written in a huge text on in a big wall. No, it is written on the side of a door always. That is the location of, and in the middle level of the door, either from the right side or the left side or both. Okay, that word is two letters, okay, or two symbols, star and gate. How you read that based on what I explained earlier?
Like I don't know, just a Stargate. I mean, I guess
okay, I will make it easy for you.
yeah.
Let's take the word, that symbol, star. It's a star. Okay, it's a symbol of star, and the other symbol is gate, right?
Yeah.
So let's search. This symbol star has any other meaning? No, it's just a star. And that symbol gate has any other meaning? Gate or door, nothing else. Okay, it doesn't mean escape, it doesn't mean exit, it doesn't, you got my point? So it means gate or door. So the only way to read both, star, gate. And by the way, when we say Stargate, that is not correct because it is written gate star. Okay, we explain it because it's English language, we call it Stargate, but it is gate star, which is the Egyptian way to say Stargate.
Right.
So it is even written correctly according to the grammar. Okay, even in Arabic language, we say Bawabit al-Nugum. Bawaba is gate, al-Nugum star. So we start with the gate. We put the adjective after the noun. In Arabic language and Egyptian language, that is the way. We don't say good girl. No, we say girl, good. Smart boy, no, we say boy, smart. We always put the noun first. So it is gate star. Okay. And sometimes, and because someone will say, no, Mohammed, that is different. Maybe that star means praise or means power. It is the gate of power or the gate of light. Maybe the star can be a source of light or energy. Okay. So in other cases, they keep the symbol gate and they give us the word star as a word, sab. That is the or duat. So they tell us, okay, you didn't understand the first example. Here is another detailed example. What does it mean, star as a word? not as a picture anymore, as a word, it is duat or sab. So they give you the word itself, not just the symbol, the whole word. So there is no chances to try to do or to read it something else. It is very clear that it is Stargate. Okay. And
Yeah,
in other
and a
cases,
lot
it
of them
is
too.
not
It wasn't just once.
Stargate.
Yeah.
Yes. And this is, it is not, in many other cases, not one Stargate. No, it is Stars Gate. Gate for many stars, for a constellation, for a group of stars. So sometimes one star, sometimes many stars. Okay. Also, when you read, and this is, you will read in my book, that some other structures in Egypt, like twin structure, it has the title, the double gate. And those structures are not together like Komombo. Someone can say, okay, double gate means the door on the right side and the door of the left side in Komombo because they are next to each other. No, I'm talking about two structures far away from each other, but they are connected because of the function or because of the design or because of some certain relationship. So they call them the two gates. So as if they try, if you go through this one, so spiritually or physically, you will go to the second one or the opposite. If you go like what? Like Edfu Temple and Dandara Temple.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a long distance between both of them, but they are the two gates. Like gates, what does it mean, two gates? Okay, so because when I say two gates, I immediately think that they are connected. One entry, one exit, or the way around. Okay, so it is clear message from the ancient Egyptian priest when he wrote Stargate, he meant Stargate. And something interesting, if someone will say this is just art, this is just a way to write nice words, okay, in this case, we must find that title because it was given as a title to the king. Okay, instead of the word king, they gave him the word Stargate. So as if the king or the abilities of the king or the permission of the king will activate the energies of the Stargate. So how many rulers or how many sites we can see this Stargate? Not all of them, which is against the rules. If this is art or this is religion, it must be everywhere. And we have the example, like in the Islamic system of structures, we have what we call it the minaret, okay? That tower for the leader of the prayer or the imam to go up before they invented speakers and microphones, and to start calling people for prayer from a higher level, okay? Now we don't use that. We have speakers, we have radios, we have, so, but because it became religious system or style, so every mosque have a minaret. Every church have something similar, okay? If it is religion, it must be repeated everywhere. Do we see the word Stargate everywhere? No, not in everywhere. In certain places, yes, there are many, but not everywhere. Not every wall, not every doorway.
And it would only be like one place within a temple.
Exactly. Okay, so this is a special title for a special place. Okay.
Yeah, I was like all getting sci-fi, like, oh, this is a portal. It's a portal room. You know, I don't.
And I must tell you something. The one who is telling you this, me, 10 years ago, I would be completely against this idea. Like if you tell me 10 years ago or exactly 15 years ago, Mohammed, do you believe in stargates? I will definitely say, no, this is wrong. But as I told you, I am reading the site. I'm not reading the books. I'm not reading the explanation or the interpretation of the Egyptologist. No, I'm reading the site itself. and the site is telling me that this work is starting.
Yeah. So like what, okay, within like the technologies of of ancient Egypt, what do you think that they, you know, like, I don't know, what do you think they were capable of? Because there was obviously some sort of, I mean, the seraphim that you mentioned earlier, except I don't know how you pronounce it, it's different than I pronounce it. That like that was some sort of tech that had some sort of functionality to it.
Of course. Okay, when you say technology, okay,
Yeah.
it is something we must believe in. There was definitely technology in ancient Egypt. Either ancient Egypt we know, the one we know, which is 5,000 years ago, or earlier ancient Egypt. But my belief that it is earlier ancient Egypt, because we didn't find any record or any evidence says that ancient Egypt we know 5,000 years ago had such technology. Because in their tombs, they made drawings and records for everything, but they didn't say how they built the pyramid, how they cut the obelisk, how they transfer megalithic blocks, like 50 tons, 100 tons. Okay, so they didn't mention anything like this, but they mentioned how they feed ducks, how they make ships, how they make sandals, how they harvest wheat and corn, and so how they fish, how they raise domestic animals, so many things, but none of them includes building the pyramid or cutting the obelisk or transferring huge blocks. Okay, so that's why I believe that the actual builders of those megalithic sites are earlier ancient Egyptians with great technology. When I say great technology, I can see easily it's a technology maybe exceeding our technology nowadays. Okay, there are so many clear examples of that. The first example, building the pyramid itself. Okay, if you search and write how they built the pyramid, okay, you will find hundreds of theories and opinions. And after the end of each story, it will tell you, but we are not sure that this is the correct way.
Right.
So how come with all our technology, we cannot produce something like this? We cannot copy or build a structure like the Great Pyramid. And when I say like the Great Pyramid, this is unfair. We cannot build a small pyramid with the technique they claim it happened. But with our technology, we cannot build the Red Pyramid, we cannot build the Pinned Pyramid, we cannot build the Great Pyramid, the second pyramid at Giza Plateau, or the third pyramid. Mm-hmm. Okay. With our technology, I will not say we cannot, we can cut the obelisk, okay? And we can transfer the obelisk from Aswan to Luxor, but we are going to spend billions of dollars. Billions, like 20 billions, 30, okay? And there is one important thing. To convince a company or a businessman to do this, it will be impossible. For one important reason, is the high possibility of losing or destroying the object. Okay, that is what most of the people don't think about. When you deal with a small block, okay, you can handle this block with any kind of technology, primitive or high technology. When you deal with huge block, you need high technology, because when you start using violent or using like strong power without nice and smooth technology, you may affect the stone and it will be broken. Okay, but imagine you are dealing with an obelisk 24 meters, 700 tons. You must be very delicate. You must be very sensitive dealing with this, because one single mistake can destroy it, can cause a crack. Just one single vibration can cause the crack of the stone. of
Like
the
the one in
obelisk.
the Aswan quarry that they abandoned because it broke
Okay.
while they were digging it out.
Now, I have a different opinion about this. Okay, I will
You don't think
continue
it was
considering
abandoned?
after the obelisk of Hatshepsut. No, as I say, the workers went for lunch and never come back. The disaster happened while they are finishing the obelisk. That's why there are so many things unfinished.
Yeah.
Like the box in the Serapeum, the unfinished box at the Serapeum, why they left it? Because the people who had the technology disappeared. And the senders later didn't have the same technology to continue the job.
Yeah, I could see that.
Okay. Yes. So here is my point. You can have good technology, okay, abilities, but the project is very risky. Okay. So you won't go to this risky mission or job unless you are very, very, very sure that your technology can handle this. Okay. And I tried this myself. While I was finishing my apartment, I called the marble factory, okay, because I had some corners made covered with marble, and I told them I need rose granite. In the beginning, they were upset because rose granite is tough material and it will affect the diamond blade. Okay, so they may use or the diamond blade they are going to use will not be able to continue doing other jobs. So it will be just one use and then they must replace it. So I told the man, the size of the, let's call it tiles, of the tiles, the rose granite tiles is going to be what? He told me 40 by 40, 40 centimeters by 40 centimeters. I told him, no, I need big pieces. He said, okay, we can make it 50 by 50. I told him, come on, I need some big pieces. So he said, the max I can do 1 meter long by 50 centimeters. I said, no, I will be happy if you make it 1 meter by 2 meters. He said, no way. I told him, I will double your price. He said, no, because I don't guarantee. He said, I don't guarantee that transferring the granite pieces or tiles, it will be safe all the way, because any bumpy road or while they are maneuvering on the stairs going up, it will be easily broken because it's a long piece and the density of the stone is not going to be very strong. Okay, so we're talking about a piece 1 meter by 2 meters, not 24 meters weighing 700 tons. Okay, right. It's not a piece of steel. Look, people must understand this. Yes, granite is very strong material, but still breakable. Okay, with wrong position or let's say wrong angle, it can crack, can easily crack. So we are dealing with too much heavy weight with primitive technology. No, that is not correct. And we have seen the result of using this technique later in the beginning of 1900 AD, when the Europeans became very interested in the Egyptian history and they visited Egypt and they started to collect the Egyptian treasures and monuments, and then they became interested in the obelisks. And yourself, you have seen how many destroyed obelisks at Karnak Temple.
Oh, there were so many.
So many. Why? Because they used that primitive technique to take the obelisk out of the temple. So most of them are cracked. So they destroyed around 20 obelisks to take 3. So the 3 against 17.
I wonder what the obelisk was for. What do you think it was for?
That is a great question. Okay. Anyone will have no idea about this question. Like they don't know. Okay. But I know. Okay. But let me ask you a question first. Okay. Did you visit a cemetery before? In American cemetery?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. There is the tombstone with the name and the date, right?
Yep.
Have you seen a small obelisk instead of the tombstone before? in a cemetery?
Yeah, I have seen the little, but they're small, super small.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking about the size. I'm talking about the shape.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
And
think
this is
those are
worldwide,
actually
even in
like,
Egypt. No. It's the idea.
okay.
Okay. So the Coptic Egyptians also in the Coptic cemetery, you will go and you will see they have an obelisk instead of the tombstone. Okay. So let's go to the ancient Egyptians. Any temple must have two obelisks in the front, flanking the gate, one right, one left. And when you go inside, it will be the same, one right. So as if they are creating a gate again. Okay. The word obelisk, do you know what does it mean?
No, what
That
does
is
it
the
mean?
Greek word means a needle.
Okay, that could make sense.
Okay. But it doesn't mean just needle, it means huge needle. And that is the same Arabic word masalla. Masalla means big needle. So there is a needle this size, like the acupuncture. Okay. So the needle does what? It goes through the fabric, right? And it takes the string behind it. So it takes the string through, because you cannot put the string directly to the fabric, right?
Right.
So you need the needle to do this. So if we apply the same story to the obelisk, that the obelisk goes crossing the fabric of the sky. Okay, I'm talking about the fabric. I'm not talking about the height. And it absorbs the negative energy from the visitors. That's why there are two, and you cross in between.
And there
Okay.
is always, on all the temples before you would enter them, they would always have, like, you would walk on rose granite as you were walking in, right?
Very good. The pedestal.
Yeah.
If
So
I can
basically
call
you're
it.
saying it's like piezoelectricity that, or it could be like piezoelectricity that clears a person, like basically turns them to a certain frequency before they enter a temple.
Perfect. That is the point. Altering the visitors to put them in one tone, like recharging them with this energy and absorbing the negative energy. How I built this opinion. In Luxor Temple, there are two statues in front of the temple. Okay, and according to the name, they are belong to Ramses II or attributed to Ramses II. Ramses II in a seated position, sitting on his throne, right? Or let's call it chair. So we all understand if we say chair, what is the chair looks like, right? And the back side of the chair, we understand if it is high or low, it doesn't matter. But we understand the back side of the chair looks like what? So the one to the left side, when you are crossing or going through the gate of Luxor Temple, the one to the left side is the typical king position sitting on his throne and the typical shape of the chair. The one on the right side is the problem, or is the unique one. Instead of the regular back side of the chair, there is an obelisk behind the king. From the hips, okay, or the spine, goes all the way to, no, not the spine, the
crown of the head.
That? No, the lower one, the lower bone, or let's say from the tail level, if we can call that, because humans also have the thing, to the head, okay, behind the neck, and it is attached to his body. So this, again, it's a way to show us and explain to us that this is healing for the king. This obelisk is absorbing all the negative energy and the pain from the king all the time. So that is the function of the obelisk. Okay, that's why all the not all, but most of the European countries, they were running crazy in the beginning of 19th century and 20th century to take an obelisk from Egypt. If you go to Paris, London,
Washington.
Rome, Vatican, Washington, okay, Istanbul, why they were acting crazy to take an obelisk, and they put it in the main square of their capital because they understood that fact. It is to absorb negative energies.
I don't know if it worked quite well because they
and okay, so the Coptics adopted the same style. They thought maybe if this obelisk can help the livings, maybe it can help the dead people. Maybe it can absorb the negative energy from the cemetery, because we must understand something. The cemetery, it's some places, including the cemetery, is full of negative energy. Okay, not because of the dead people, because of the visitors. Okay, most of us visit the cemetery and we are sad, we are crying, we are not in happiness, right?
Mhm.
So the obelisk was made to absorb the negative energy of the cemetery, either from the visitors or from the grave itself. Okay, so in my opinion, that was the reason, like, why that style existed in our cultures, either 400 or 500 years ago, or even earlier, till nowadays. That's so many of the cemeteries still doing the obelisk style instead of the tombstone.
Huh. Okay, so that's actually I like that. That's a good theory about the obelisk. They're negative energy absorbers. And so, like, with other ancient technologies, like, what do you think about, like, what do you think the I don't know, the purpose of the Osiren is? You know,
Okay.
because that to me
Uh,
seemed personally, that seemed like the most ancient. Like, that thing seemed very
mhm,
similar to stuff I've seen in Peru, and it didn't really match that much.
mhm,
I loved it. It was weird, but
mhm. Okay, look, again, the same story. You read the site and you look to the elements. And when you do analysis to the size of the blocks and the size of the pillars, you will understand that this place was designed to harness a very dangerous or huge energy. Like in any hospital, if you visit any hospital, you will see all the rooms, all the sections, offices, almost the same. But when you go to that section with the X-rays or the radiation section, you will find that the walls are supported with other materials. They do some kind of insulation layers, right?
mhm,
Okay,
yeah,
it is not the same like that's the same. So when you go to the Osiris temple, you talk about the temple or the shaft, the one in Abydos.
yeah, the one in Abydos, not the
Yes,
yeah.
the Osiris temple. So when you look to the size of the pillar, which is more than 150 tons, and the size of the blocks on the walls, huge. And we can say Abydos, it is not completely far south. It is in the middle of Upper Egypt, in the middle of the south. So it's about 500 kilometers north of Aswan and 500 kilometers south of Cairo. Okay. And there are limestone, local limestone in the area. They never used limestone building the Osiris. They used quartzite from Cairo, 500 kilometers north,
Mhm.
and rose granite from Aswan, which is 500 kilometers south. Okay, why they didn't use the local limestone? Because it won't help the function. So quartzite, and from the name, we understand it contains quartz.
Mhm.
And rose granite, it contains quartz, contains
Feldspar.
feldspar and iron. Okay, so it contains naturally a magnet field. Okay, so this place, in my opinion, it was, if we can call it with our modern words, it's a nuclear reactor or factory.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Mhm. Very strong place. And don't forget the water. The
Right.
underground water is to cool down the engine.
And do we know how far those shafts, like where the water sits, do we know how deep that is? Have they tested that?
There are some shafts 5 meters deep and 7 and 8 meters, but there is one shaft we don't know how deep it is. Way deep. But because it is covered with mud, and we need lots of work and funds and machines to take out all the mud. Okay, so we don't know how deep, but we understand that it is very, very deep.
And then the green algae that grows there, that's really unique looking. Have
Very
they done
good.
studies on that?
No, because they expect that this is natural thing, which is not. That is not natural thing at all. Okay,
No.
if you dig a big bit like this next to the Osiris, but without the granite, without the quartzite, and it will have underground water, it won't be green like this. It will be just
right. That's some sort of property of the rock within. Yeah.
Very good. The energy is enhancing the abilities of the of those fungus or those primitive cells. Okay, it enhancing their abilities, so they grow in massive number and in a very fertile water and ground.
How much of that is unexcavated? Because like, I mean, when I look on Google Maps and stuff, and I even remember when we went, like when you're down there in the shaft, you go in another section, they don't let you go everywhere in it. And it also feels like when you look at a aerial view of it, there could be way more like on other sides that they haven't really completely dug up. It doesn't look like I feel like it's, like what? Like
there is
1/10.
so much still under the ground.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. Not only there in Abydos, but in Saqqara, in Giza, everywhere. I can tell you with great confidence that we discovered maximum 50% of what we're supposed to discover. There are 50% still hidden under the ground.
So do you think that in our lifetime that will ever be looked at, or is that more like, what's the motivation for not continuing like the exploring like sites like this?
Look, I have also a strange opinion. Of course, I say that the first responsibility on the responsible people, that they must operate expeditions and digging, but I say no, because the site itself, the energy itself, it requires certain time, certain consciousness. When we reach that time, we will be able to find everything.
Yeah, I actually kind of agree with you, because I don't think that we're super enlightened right now. I mean, we might destroy more than we
that's the point.
Learn. Yeah.
So with the proper consciousness, we will feel the energies and we will know how to use it properly.
So then, like, do you think, like in the context of like, Plato's story of Atlantis, and then there is some was it Heliocropus or something? I do think there is like an Atlantis connection with ancient Egypt. So what was your opinion on that?
My opinion, Plato and Solon, they were students in Egypt, in On, that is the magical, mystical city of Egypt. On, the city of knowledge, the city of the sun. And the priest of On told them that one day there was an ancient advanced civilization and disappeared. That is the whole story. He didn't say Atlantis or where or what, anyway. He said ancient advanced civilization and gone a long time ago. So my opinion, he was talking about the earlier ancient Egypt. So Atlantis is ancient Egypt before
cataclysms. Yeah. So what you're saying? So you were saying that Atlantis is ancient Egypt that we've lost.
For sure, and we have the evidences like the pyramids, the Osiris shaft, Osiris temple, the obelisks, the giant monuments, like the statue of Ramses II, the Serapeum. Like we have great evidences proving this story. But they insist that Atlantis is outside Egypt and it is in the Atlantic Ocean under the water. No, it is simply ancient Egypt.
All right. Well, I mean, I
Especially
definitely.
when we talk about astronomy. Okay, when we talk about astronomy and the ancient Egyptian knowledge with stars, with biology, uh, uh, I don't remember if I told you the story that for a pregnant woman, she doesn't need to go to the doctor to know she's going to have a boy or a girl. She will use the Egyptian way, barley seed and wheat seed or grain, and she will use the morning urine over both. Okay, if barley grow up means boy, if wheat grow up means girl. How the ancient Egyptians know this? How did they know that? Unless they had decent doctors and researchers and laboratories doing analysis and using microscopes. So they understood that the genome of barley is responding to the male genome in the mother urine, or the genome inside the wheat is responding to the female genome. So this is great knowledge. This is not something they practice or what we call it a coincidence. No, this is great science. So
Well, I
that
mean,
great science was from the previous civilization, the advanced Egyptian civilization.
what do you think? Remember that place next to the step pyramid that's called the hospital with the different frequencies and the little enclaves?
Yes, yes.
What and when I've looked it up, I can't find that it's called the hospital, but that's what you told us it was called. So
Yes.
what's the official write-up about the function of that place?
The official way, this is the Hepsid festival courtyard or ground. The king will come here to be crowned as a king of Upper Egypt, and then a king of Lower Egypt, and then a king of United Egypt, and that's it.
Okay.
But why we have 28 chapels, they don't explain why. Why we hear that voice or sound in each room differently in each room with no explanation. Okay, why we have those so-called tables in the middle of the shrines, they don't also explain that. Okay, but when I call it hospital, again, that is not my imagination. Again, and I must make sure that people understand this, that the Egyptians, ancient Egyptians and medieval Egyptians and modern Egyptians till maybe 50 years ago or close to this, used to go to the ancient sites for healing. So when I say healing, it's not my story, it's not my imagination. That was actually happening in Egypt. Okay. When you check all the churches in Egypt, all of them were built inside the ancient Egyptian sites. So how come, like, why they build the church inside Karnak Temple or inside Luxor Temple or inside Saqqara, inside Bani Hassan tombs? All of them were inside the ancient Egyptian locations because of the energy. They wanted the followers of the church, when they come to the church, they feel the energy of the site, and hundreds of other examples. Okay? So definitely these places for healing. So that's why when I call it the hospital, I know why, and there is a great meaning, and there is strong evidence for this word or title. The same story when you go to Karnak Temple, and you'll find that all the visitors are moving around the scarab 7 times. Do you remember that? There is a scarab on a pedestal. Okay. Tour guides keep telling them this as a kind of a joke, or it's a funny story, but it's not. That was true act used to happen. Okay. 7 rounds, but not because of the 7 rounds the lady will be pregnant. No, it's part of a big system. And 7 rounds, number 7 here is being repeated in many, many cases in ancient Egypt. 7 gates, 7 Holy of Holies, 7 skies, 7 earths, 7 rounds. Okay, so number 7 is important in ancient Egypt.
I do remember that one. It was like, yeah, if you want to go get pregnant, go around that thing 7 times. I was like, I don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want.
Why is it?
But it is not to be pregnant, by the way. It is to be fertile.
Ah,
And if the lady is married, and then as if she had a problem with pregnancy, but visiting the temple will fix this problem. And then she will go and continue the relation with her husband, and she will be pregnant. But it is not about pregnancy. Like some of the herbs, okay, when I tell people about
flaxseed oil.
exactly, it says very helpful for the sexual abilities. No, it wasn't for this. It helps to improve the physical abilities, all of it. And as a side effect, it helped the sexual, because when someone is healthy and in a good shape, yes, then his sexual abilities will be good. But it is not designed for this. No. So the same in those temples. They say, do you want to be pregnant? Go to the temple. No, it is not for that. Go to the temple so you will have good, healthy body, and then you will be ready for pregnancy. So that was the case.
So do modern Egyptians still look at that? Like, do they still think
not in the current moment anymore, but I can assure you, like before 50 years ago, the age of my grandmother and all the grandmothers, they used to go to the temple. And all our ancestors, 19th, 18th, 17th, 16th century and before.
Ah, wow.
But nowadays we lost this meaning and the concept because of many things, because of the education, which is against, I will not say against, but they teach us nothing about ancient Egypt. Okay. Against the media is against this. As Egyptian, if you go and visit any site, you will be on your own. There is no a guide leading you, explaining to you. The modern Egyptians lost their passion with ancient Egypt.
Oh, so it's not even a fascination amongst, just people who live there?
My mother lives near Saqqara Pyramid for more than 60 years now. Okay. And she didn't visit the pyramid. And she is not planning to visit the pyramid.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a shame. So but I mean, I guess it's like that, right? When you live in a place, you just take it for granted.
No, but we are talking about different things. It is something, it is not a nice square, or it is not a garden or a building. It is deep history, and then millions of tourists are visiting the place every day. No, it's a must.
Yeah, I mean, like,
but again, we lost the passion.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. You're a very good example of an Egyptian who's Egyptian born, who loves his pyramids and his ancient stuff.
Yes, much.
Yeah, so I think that's really, really great. Okay, so Mohamed, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to talk about? And I know your book's going to come out soon, so when your book comes out, like, we'll totally do this again and go over that, because that, like, super is going to be. When is it going to come out? When are you going to finish?
I believe within 3 months maximum, because I need to edit first because English is not my first language, and I know I made many mistakes.
What was I saying? I was saying
you asked me if there is something we didn't speak about. Yes, we didn't speak about hundreds of subjects.
Okay. Well, that's true.
But that will be a good chance to have more podcasts. Okay, so we cannot cover everything in one podcast, or even 10. Okay, right. So I promise you we will do this again and again.
Okay, awesome. And if people want to go to Egypt, like, are you guys open right now? Because I hear you guys are open for tours.
100%, yes. If you book your flight, you can come. We have only one condition, or one restriction, is to bring a PCR test that you are free from coronavirus 3 days before the flight. That's it. That is all what we need. Negative test.
Perfect.
And then you can
so do you have some tour groups coming up?
Yes, I have one in May, one in June, and one in September, and I have one in October, but it's fully booked, no available seats. And I have one in November. So if you go to my website, beautyegypttours.com, you will find our tours, especially that section, Guide of Egypt Tours, because we have the regular tours, okay, with regular tour guides, which is very good. But there is a special section for Guide of Egypt Tours. It will be led by me, one in May, one in June. So it's still
and when
available.
are you doing you said you sometimes you do Egypt too, like the one where you go to
Yes.
like Alexandria and all that? Because I gotta
Very
do
good.
that.
Okay. Yeah, different side, because I see that many people want to come back, but they don't want to repeat the same things.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why I always offer alternative tour, includes what we didn't see the first time, or the unusual places. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to announce about this soon. I call it Egypt 2.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. And then yeah, I also saw that they just moved all the mummies over to the Cairo Museum. So it looks like that'll be open for people's tours, right? Like the new museum, the one next
Yes.
to the
No, this is not the one. We have what we call it the Civilization Museum. It is still in Cairo. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That museum also, it's very good. I visited that museum 2016, but it was soft opening and it was just one whole room. I think now they opened more rooms. But if you talk about the Grand Museum, no, that is different story. So
Oh, the
mummies
one
didn't.
on the Giza Plateau, that one's not open yet?
No.
Like what? It was supposed to be open like 3 years ago.
Exactly 7 years ago.
Oh, 7 years ago. Okay.
Yes.
Well, slowly but surely.
Yes. They almost, their last promise that it is going to be open this year. And I believe they are right about this, but maybe late, maybe in October or November.
Okay, cool. Well, hopefully that is open. I want, as soon the day that opens, I'm gonna be like on a plane. I want to go.
Me too. I wanna like dying to, because they are having a completely new display, things no one seen it before. Of course, there will be Tutankhamun and some stuff, but there are hundreds of thousands of pieces taken from the underground galleries and the storage rooms. So it will be very, very interesting. And I believe we're going to find so many details and new stories about the Egyptian lost technologies, and the Egyptian healing also hidden on these, the details of these statues and other objects.
Artifacts. Yeah, awesome. All right, Mohamed, this has been super fun. I enjoyed having you on, and I will have you on again soon.
Yes. You are welcome, Nikki. Anytime.
Right. Cool.